planet is Earth. It's 4.5 billion years old. Humans only recently emerged here. 1.5 million years ago, they began using fire. Charcoal and shards of burnt clay are the first traces of humans on Earth. 10,000 years ago, farming was born. Domesticated animals, farmlands, man-made canal systems and water bodies altered the planet over the years. The 16th century AD, after the discovery of America, civilization went global. The New World's indigenous people died en masse. Huge territories were abandoned and overrun by trees. This reduced carbon dioxide levels in the Earth's atmosphere. The 18th century, the steam engine was invented, heralding the Industrial Revolution. In the middle of the 20th century, humanity started using nuclear power. With every step, our impact on the planet has been increasing.
Humans are influencing and partly controlling geological processes. And that's the main evidence for me as a scientist that there is a new epoch of Earth history.
This age is described by scientists as the Anthropocene. No one knows how our world is going to change, but humanity does affect the planet, and this process cannot be stopped.
Semplicemente dall'odore. Noi stavamo qui magari e si sentiva un odore, soprattutto dipende dalle direzioni dei venti, un odore che ti rendeva la vita impossibile.
Stefano Vignaroli lives on the outskirts of the Italian capital. You can't see the giant landfill located out of town from here, but there's no mistaking the smell. People spend all their lives next to it. After contemplating the volume of household waste that's produced, Vignaroli started buying unpackaged groceries and making his own meals. He wants to produce less waste. The global waste problem became apparent in the middle of the 20th century. Currently, humanity produces more than 2 billion tons of waste every year.
It's called somehow an global trash layer. If you look around the landscape, you see, if you're near a town, you see a hill and it's filled of garbage. So it's somehow a landmark of the Anthropocene.
Mlrd used to be the biggest household waste landfill in Europe. Its awful smell had tortured residents of Rome for many years. The landfill was closed in 2013. A waste recycling plant was built next to it, and new garbage is no longer buried in the ground. But all the stuff that was dumped here in the second half of the 20th century is still here in the hills, covered with clay.
Beh, sicuramente negli anni 70 il rifiuto era diverso, era molto più semplice, sia in termini di qualità, tipologia, quindi probabilmente c'era qualche pezzo di plastica, carta, semplice. Adesso probabilmente qui dentro c'è andato di tutto, dalle batterie a prodotti nocivi.
Landfills that have emerged across the planet are full of man-made materials that have never existed before. And this is just one of the ways we affect the planet. There are many more.
Человек стал геологическим фактором. Он изменяет геологическую среду в глобальном масштабе. Ну, естественно, отсюда появляется это название – антропоцен.
The main materials that are markers for the Anthropocene are, of course, new materials, artificial materials that humans have invented. Plastic is a very good thing. There is concrete, which is used the world over and marks the Anthropocene. Alumina is another thing that is in the system. So there are a lot of new materials.
The garbage crisis in Naples remained unresolved until 2012. Back then, the city struggled with waste management and looked like one big dump.
Comunque io le devo spiegare la raccolta differenziata del porta a porta.
Ho conoscenza perché...
Quantini, per favore, non rispondo. Lei già la fa?
La raccolta differenziata.
Ci fa piacere. E questa è la cosa importante, il calendario.
Sì.
Perché sono praticamente per frazione come conferire, anche se voi avete comodamente i bidoni giù al palazzo.
Va bene.
Va bene, grazie. Arrivederla. Mi dica. Io sono della SIA, sì, sì.
Se funzionasse poco meglio
Che
per
cosa?
le strade.
Lo spazzamento?
Lo spazzamento non solo, ma anche a via Tassia, no?
Sì.
Ci sono quei grandi bidoni.
Le campane?
Le campane. Circondate da spazzatura.
There are different coloured bins on the streets of today's Naples. Brown for household waste, white for paper, and yellow for plastic and aluminium. These two are collected together. Green is for glass. The same bins, only smaller, are distributed among the residents of the city to turn Naples from a garbage capital into an example of waste sorting efforts.
Non tanto la quantità, ma è importante la qualità per andare effettivamente a riciclare. Quindi adesso il cittadino è coinvolto direttamente con l'operazione qualità.
Instead of landfills, waste should be brought to recycling plants. But building new infrastructure requires political willpower and money. The world lacks both. Most waste is still brought to landfills like this, which serve as monuments to the Anthropocene, or is burned at waste incineration plants, which worsens the Earth's atmosphere. Almost 2/3 of German waste is recycled, which allows for its proper disposal. That's more than in any other European country. There's a special supervisory organisation that controls how citizens sort their waste.
Und wenn wir jetzt eine wilde Müllablagerung an der Straße entdecken, halten wir da an, gucken in die Müllsäcke oder was auch immer da gerade liegt, ob wir Indizien finden, wer der Verursacher ist. Und das sind dann so alles Anhaltspunkte, wo man dann halt die Verursacher für diese wilde Müllablagerung auch durchentdecken kann, was wir dann auch alles notieren und eine Ordnungswidrigkeitenanzeige schreiben. Dass die halt auch letztendlich dafür, dass sie ihren Müll einfach wild abgelagert haben, bestraft werden.
A special committee issues a fine if the waste is sorted incorrectly. The smallest fine is €5, and in particularly egregious cases, the fines could be as high as €100,000. Another job of the waste police is keeping the streets clean. They literally catch people by the hand until they learn not to litter.
Gucken Sie mal, die Zigarette haben Sie hier schön auf dem Boden gesorgt.
Jetzt will er mich filmen oder was?
Nö, der filmt mich jetzt einfach nur.
Ja,
und dann, nee, das klären Sie gleich mit dem Herrn.
Nee, ich kläre gar nichts, der soll mich nicht filmen.
Nee, macht er nicht.
Ja, gut.
So, die Zigarette haben Sie jetzt ordnungswidrig auf den Mund gesorgt, ist eine Ordnungswidrigkeit.
Ja.
Ich bräuchte einmal einen Ausweis.
Ich habe keinen Ausweis dabei.
Geht halt darum, wenn Sie den Müll dazu zählen,
Ja,
eine
ich
Zigarette.
verstehe dich. Ist ja alles...
€5 to €55 is the most common fine for a thrown cigarette butt in Hamburg. It is the most common type of litter near water bodies all around the world. A hard-to-notice and slow-to-decompose cigarette butt releases nicotine, lead and arsenic. And if a fish or a bird eats it, it could poison them too. And no country in the world has yet managed considerable reduction in this type of litter. Stefano Vignaroli, who lives in a Roman suburb near the closed landfill, started out as an environmental campaigner and became a career politician. He's joined the Five Star Movement Party and been elected to the Italian Parliament. The Malagrotta domestic waste landfill was closed, but there's also the issue of industrial waste, and Italy is doing even worse in this department.
Si stima che il fatturato dell'illecito sui reati ambientali arriva a toccare anche i 14 miliardi. Probabilmente dopo la droga e le armi il business dei rifiuti è uno dei più remunerativi.
Stefano chairs a parliamentary committee to identify Italian enterprises that dispose of their waste illegally. Usually they do it simply by taking the waste to a remote location and burning it. That's how it's done outside Naples. This place is called the Land of Fire.
È la fine di un processo produttivo che dalla fine degli anni '80 viene finalizzato con metodi mafiosi e metodi che compromettono l'ambiente, non soltanto per risparmiare sui costi da parte delle imprese, ma anche con un disegno che vede appunto alcune terre di questo paese come concepite come vere e proprie discariche.
Marilena Natale has been investigating the mafia's environmental crimes for many years. Her efforts helped to detain an important mob member. She was filming his arrest with her camera and he blew her a kiss of death, a sentence for enemies of the mafia. Since then, she's been living and working under constant police guard. Like many people in this region, Marilena thinks that landfills cause an increase in cancers.
La mannaia del cancro ormai, se ti giri in ogni famiglia c'è un cancro. Cioè a me è morta mia cugina che a soli 40 anni ha lasciato 3 bimbi piccoli per una leucemia fulminante. Ad Aversa pochi giorni fa è morto un ragazzo di 28 anni. Un mese fa è morta una ragazza di 31 anni. Com'è possibile questo?
St. Paul the Apostle Church in the Naples suburb of Caivano. Illegal landfills of the Land of Fire are the subject of Pastor Maurizio Patriziello's sermon.
Io l'altro giorno ho celebrato il funerale di Dario, un bambino di 17 anni, e noi vediamo dal punto di vista, diciamo, personale quello che accade. C'è qualcosa che non va e quindi o noi decidiamo di fare pace con l'ambiente oppure siamo costretti, perché se la terra muore ci trascinerà nella tomba insieme a se stessa. Siamo gemelli siamesi, noi e l'ambiente siamo gemelli siamesi, se muore l'uno muore anche l'altro.
In 2015, the Land of Fire calamity made Pope Francis publish the encyclical Laudato Si, Praise be to you. But we need only take a frank look at the facts to see that our common home is falling into serious disrepair. If we scan the regions of our planet, we immediately see that humanity has disappointed God's expectations. Oncologist Antonio Marfella is a member of the International Society of Doctors for the Environment, established in response to an increase in cardiovascular and oncological diseases around the world. He examines links between landfills and cancers. In the last 30 years, Naples has become the cancer capital of the world.
Vi ricordo, viviamo l'antropocene. È forse l'ultima era geologica. C'è un problema enorme legato all'inquinamento ambientale, all'attività industriale che è aumentata ancor più di quanto è aumentata, diciamo, l'umanità, e questo sta creando dei danni alla salute sempre più evidenti.
On November 1st, 1986, a fire broke out at the storehouse of Swiss company Sandoz near Basel. The water used to put out the fire wound up in the Rhine River. It was the largest environmental disaster in a European river.
Und zwar über fast 400 Kilometer. Das heißt also, zwischen Basel und Mainz waren fast alle Fische verendet. Und das hat natürlich einen enormen Aufschrei gegeben. Der Rhein ist tot, hier ist unglaublich viel passiert. Was war in dem Löschwasser? Es waren Pestizide, die sehr, sehr toxisch waren und von daher eben diesen massiven Effekt hatten.
The laws didn't require companies to build special reservoirs for water that remains after a fire. No one saw an environmental disaster coming, and the outrage was universal. This awful disaster highlighted an issue that had been building up for years. After all, the Rhine had long been known as Europe's cesspool.
Es gab so stark verschmutzte Sedimente im Rotterdamer Hafen, die ausgebaggert werden mussten, die verbrannt werden mussten, weil sie so toxisch waren, dass es war auch die ständige Belastung. Es war nicht nur der Unfall, es war natürlich die ständige Belastung der Industrieentwicklung am Rhein nach dem Zweiten Weltkrieg.
The authorities of Switzerland, Germany, France and the Netherlands adopted a broad program aimed at saving this major European waterway. More than €80 billion has been spent to build water treatment plants on the Rhine. One such plant was built in Duisburg, Germany. It purifies the water that comes from sewers and drains. The mechanical and biological treatment takes up to 24 hours. After which, the water goes back into the Rhine.
Ja, das Abwasser ist sehr sauber. Wir haben mittlerweile, wenn wir in Nachquellbecken gucken, haben wir Sichttiefen von 1,50 Meter bis 1,60 Meter. Das ist schon wirklich sehr gut. Gerade wenn man mal in einem See steht mit den Füßen, dann sieht man, wenn man so steht, schon die Füße nicht mehr. Das ist sehr gut.
But even advanced treatment facilities like this can't make the river absolutely clean. If you have ever poured out some unneeded medicines into sewers, this waste would most likely get through all the clearing units.
Wir bekommen leider Medikamente gar nicht aus dem Wasser raus bisher und Mikroplastik wird von uns auch in keinster Weise irgendwo mit gereinigt. Soll sich in Zukunft ändern, aber im Augenblick ist es leider noch so, dass wir nichts daran machen können.
The consequences of the 1986 environmental disaster have very much been reversed. Fish have returned to the Rhine, but swimming in the river has long been prohibited. It's too hard to offset the human impact on the river. It's a typical example of the Anthropocene age. But the silver lining of this disaster is that now environmental protection in Western Europe has assumed a new status.
Der Mensch weiß zwar, dass er Vorsorge betreiben muss für die Umwelt, für den Gewässerschutz, aber nur der Vorsorgegedanke alleine reicht häufig nicht. Es passiert schneller und es passiert mehr, wenn ein solcher Unfall passiert. Leider müssen wir das sagen, dass der Mensch gerne diese Dinge nach hinten schiebt.
The environmental disaster in the Rhine has changed the European mentality. But the polluted Rhine was at the center of everyone's attention. When people cleaned the river, they were taking care of places near their homes. But marine pollution hasn't shocked humanity enough yet. Every year, 8 million tons of plastics wind up in the water. But most of us are not even aware of this scale of pollution. This ocean cleaning up project has been developed by enthusiasts.
Was die Plattform grundsätzlich rausfiltern soll, sind eben nicht nur die großen Teile, die auf der Oberfläche schwimmen, die natürlich auch, aber vor allem eben auch die kleineren, bis zu Mikropartikeln. Das kommt jetzt darauf an, wie man die definiert. Es gibt verschiedene Definitionen. Und das ist eben das größere Problem, weil die eben durch Winde, Verwirbelungen, Strömungen und so weiter unter die Oberfläche gedrückt werden. Das heißt, die schwimmen nicht oben. Und das ist das, wo wir mit der Plattform eben ansetzen. Also die Plattform beruhigt die Strömung, sodass eben unterhalb der Oberfläche auch die kleinen Partikel mit eingesammelt werden sollen.
Familiar plastic wrappings and non-reusable plastic materials will someday be replaced by degradable bioplastics. But the industry is still in its infancy. 300 million tons of plastics are produced per year. And much of this ends up in the ocean.
At first it's swimming on the surface of the oceans. but more and more time it sinks down and becomes buried in the oceans at the ocean bottom, in bottom sediments. So it builds a new kind of carbon-rich layer. And by that, this is the same process as natural processes are burying carbon during high greenhouse gas times in Earth history, millions of years ago. But the process will take hundreds, thousands of years, millions of years, so it's nothing that we can rely on.
Now, after a period that is imperceptible if compared with the history of the planet, but is essential for every one of us, the excessive plastics accumulated in the last 70 years have become detrimental to the humans who manufactured it in the first place.
Ma questo è un aspetto ancora più dannoso perché quando questi prodotti, e questo avviene anche nel mare, si rimpiccioliscono, vengono un po' disgregati anche dagli agenti atmosferici, non spariscono, noi non li vediamo, ma diventano delle microperline di plastica che poi entrano nel giro dell'ecosistema.
Scientists have only recently started talking about microplastics, minute particles of various plastics. No one even realized that this type of pollution exists. Russian biologist Yegor Zadariev studies water system operations and how microplastics affect them.
Ученые, во-первых, стали применять более точные методы, чтобы фильтровать объемы какие-то воды и смотреть, что в них находится, и обратили внимание на частицы микропластика. Это первое. А во-вторых, обнаружили, что этот самый микропластик попадает в организмы водных животных и может передаваться от одного организма к другому.
As a result, microplastic particles are found almost everywhere, in pristine lakes, in the air, in fish, in insects, in humans. So, the waste we have produced pollutes the planet and ourselves. Traces of the Anthropocene are inside us already.
Мы окружены пластиком, и в этом смысле мы гораздо больше его можем вдыхать с вами просто находясь вот здесь, чем потребляем, например, с водой, в которой он есть. Так что, конечно, микропластик есть у нас, но я не думаю, что основной источник – это вода. Он у нас просто сейчас везде присутствует.
On July 16, 1945, the US conducted the first ever test of a nuclear bomb. The Soviet Union detonated its first bomb in 1949. Great Britain followed suit in 1952. The year is 1963. Nuclear powers sign the treaty banning nuclear weapons tests in the atmosphere, in outer space and underwater. But the traces left by the tests remain.
We have the atmospheric atomic tests during that time, which means that certain artificial isotopes, radiogenic isotopes, are spread all over the world.
Traces of nuclear and thermonuclear blasts are still present in underground deposits. Geologists see this as definitive evidence of the beginning of the Earth's new era, the human age.
Where you can see like the long tunnel, you know? Now we are approximately 100 meters.
This car is going to the construction of a new landfill. It's going to be a unique landfill, 400 meters underground. It's being prepared with a great deal of care, like no other landfill before it. This is the future nuclear waste repository on the small Finnish island of Olkiluoto in the Baltic Sea. The waste it's going to deal with is spent nuclear fuel for power stations. Whereas some countries give up on nuclear energy altogether for environmental reasons, Finland is one of the countries building new nuclear power stations.
Ihan koskien tästä kotitalousjätteestä tähän radioaktiiviseen jätteeseen. Kaikki jäte pitää huolehtia mieluiten kierrättää, mutta jollei pystytä kierrättämään, niin pitää huolehtia, että ne käsitellään asianmukaisesti, varastoidaan asianmukaisesti
there's an operational nuclear power plant next to the future repository. In the mid-2020s, the first batch of granular nuclear waste will initially be placed in iron, then in copper canisters, and put into concrete holes that are still empty at the moment. This repository will last for 100,000 years. Mankind has never built any structures that could last so long.
We have to keep in mind that all those storages have to be temporal. You cannot throw them down and say, okay, I forget about it. You have to keep an eye on it. You have to supervise it. You have to measure and one time maybe get out again everything and put it to another place. And that's for thousands of years.
But there's no way back. Nuclear waste, industrial waste, domestic waste require more and more space on the Earth. But mankind's impact on the planet is not limited to waste.
Допустим, вы стреляете в вазу из пистолета, и ваза разлетается на осколки. Это не означает, что вы пальцем разбили вазу, но вы приложили усилия пальца. Вполне может быть, что мы зацепили какой-то вот этот спусковой крючок, и начался процесс, который мы до конца еще не представляем, что происходит.
People keep polluting the land and the oceans, wasting water, burning fossil fuel, destroying animals and plants. What will happen to the Earth in this new human era?